Okay. It says it's recording. Hopefully that means that it is recording. And hopefully I don't mess it up somehow. Yikes, guys. I really hope I don't ruin this. Okay. Welcome to our meeting. I guess I'm kind of leading it today. I don't know why or how I got this role, but I'm happy to do it. I'm here, Olivia Brown, and then Courtney Calloway is here, and Chelsea John. And hopefully Remy or I'm not sure how her name is pronounced, will be able to join us in a couple minutes. Does anybody want to start? Cute little baby. Does anybody want to volunteer to start with sharing some of their main takeaways from the last couple weeks of their outline?
Sorry, I had
Uh-oh.
If you can still hear me, I'm going to talk for a second. As I pull up, can you?
Courtney, I'm not sure why, but your video is kind of cutting in and out, so we'll get
Can you hear me?
Oh, okay. We can hear you for a second, and then you go away. Not sure. You're gone right now. I mean, I can see your picture, but it's like your video is frozen. I don't know if you can hear what I'm saying, so I don't know if it's helpful. But I don't know.
Can you hear me? My internet's being retarded. From all the storm, I think it's just my internet's taking a hit. I'm trying to do wireless and everything, and it's just not working.
Okay, I heard all of that.
Okay. I switched over to 4G and got rid of my wireless.
Yeah, so what were you saying before?
So I said I'm trying to figure out how to put my outline while I'm talking to you guys, because I'm on my phone and I wasn't sure if you guys would still be able to hear me or see me while I do it, because it's like pulling up another app. But I guess you guys can hear me because you're talking to me. So.
Yeah, and your video is still frozen, but I think that's probably just because you're pulling up another app there. And yeah, we can hear you really well now.
Okay, because I think, is it this class or was it another that they said, I can't remember if she said that video is not important, but your mic is, so that people can hear you. I can't remember. I have too many classes with meetings.
I think the discussion's the important part, not the
Yeah.
I think so. Well, I can go first here. Let me pull my outline up real quick.
So I was like so confused by the instructions. Like I had to email her because I was at almost 4 pages. Yeah. And I'm like, I think I'm doing this wrong. And she kind of like gave me more direction on how to do it. So I'm like, okay, well, I already submitted it. So hopefully I don't fail this one, but I'll do the others how you say. Because she did not respond to me in time before I submitted it. So
I'm sure you won't fail. I looked at it and it seemed like, she just talked about it having some in-depth content showing that you had a, good depth of learning. And as far as the actual format, she said that was kind of up to you as long as she could see that you had applied and learned and whatever. So I think it should be fine. So some of my main takeaways from these readings from the last couple weeks, I'll start with the last chapter that we just did because that's what's the most fresh in my mind. But at the very bottom of my outline, I just kind of went through what my main takeaways with marketing were. And so a couple of my bullet points were to bring awareness to the issue that they're at risk of. And this is just for marketing. So not like actually the teaching, but just trying to get people to come to learn in a workshop. Courtney, what kind of project are you doing?
I'm doing the workshop.
Doing the workshop? Okay, so are you doing it by yourself or is Remy your partner?
Remy is my partner.
Okay, awesome. That's so cool. Okay, Chelsea and I are also partners.
Nice.
So we can just talk about the workshop then. I don't have to. Okay, anyway, awesome. So when I was just thinking about how I'm going to get people to actually come to this, because I just moved to Colorado and I don't know very many people. So these were some of my main takeaways for that reason. So bring awareness to the issue that they might be at risk of, and call them to action. Say, like, you know, here's an issue and you can do something to change it by coming to this workshop. List the benefits of the participation in your workshop, or whatever it would be, whatever you're marketing for. And so this isn't a very clear bullet, but something I wrote down is, like, we know that people are already able to like Chelsea and I, our topic is communication, improving communication, marital communication, and like conflict resolution. And so one of my main kind of takeaways was, like, we know that you're able, you being the participant, we know that you're able to do these things already, but we want to enhance the skills and tools that you already have. That was kind of something that I took away as I was doing the reading. And then just to promote self-efficacy through peer models, which I hadn't really thought of before, but I was like, oh yeah, that is really effective. Like, if you see in like TV commercials, they have a person there who's marketing it, saying, you know, oh, this worked really well for me, it could work well for you too. And you think, oh wow, that person looks a lot like me, they're my age, you know, maybe that thing that they're selling would work for me too. So just like the importance of peer models was something I hadn't thought of before.
Nice.
So that was this chapter. And then,
do you mind if I just add something to that real quick? No, I like what you said, that you said you're just going to enhance the knowledge and skills that they already have. It just kind of reminded me of the best way to approach people when I was on my mission. You know, you don't want to take away from the belief system that they already have, but we would always say, like, we like build upon the truths that you already have and you already treasure and cherish, and that's like the gospel just builds off of those truths. We're not going to take away anything from you. And so I think that I saw it effective on my mission with the gospel, and if it's effective with the gospel, then I think it's very applicable to this as well. So I just liked how you phrased that too.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I drew that from the exact same that exact same line in Preach My Gospel is probably where that came from. Where did you serve your mission?
Sorry. I served in Australia.
Oh, cool. That's awesome.
Yeah, it was awesome.
And speaking of missions, from the chapter 2, one of my main takeaways, and this was actually in response to one of the reflection questions, and it was the question, what are some potential problems if an educator slides into providing therapeutic mediation? And so one of the things I was thinking of was just the way that we build relationships and how it's important to keep some keep a relationship really professional and separated. And my kind of experience with that was, like, as a missionary, I noticed that when we would teach families or individuals for a long time, and we got really close to them and they told us a lot about their life and things that they were struggling with, the more time we spent with them, and the closer we became, the harder it became to extend difficult commitments and ask them to do things to change, because we were worried, not consciously, but I just kind of noticed it in retrospect. We were worried about harming those relationships that we had created. You know, by that point we were friends and we cared about them, and we worried, oh, well, if we, you know, ask them to do this, they're gonna not want to see us anymore, and, you know, oh no, that's just the end of the world. And so that was something that I thought of as I was doing this chapter 2 reading, and that tertiary prevention, where therapy is always going to be needed, was that the difficulty with an FLE kind of mixing tertiary prevention into their education. I think that's the main concern, is going beyond those professional relationships and then not being able to really actually help a person, because your relationship is of a nature that you don't want to harm the relationship by asking them to do hard things. anyway, so that was a thought for chapter 2. And then my main takeaway from chapters 1 and 19 were just the different types of approaches that you can take in family life education: expert approach, facilitator approach, critical inquirer approach, interventionist, and then the eclectic approach where you're mixing them. I thought that was really interesting because I see benefits to all of those ways of teaching. And so I thought, why wouldn't someone ultimately have an eclectic approach where they're mixing multiple of them together, because they're all so beneficial.
Exactly.
Yeah, so those were some of my main takeaways from the readings these last couple weeks.
That's one thing I like is after reading about the different approaches as well, is I was like, okay, so I'm kind of like let me pull it up. I had it pulled up and I was like, no, I don't need it. I can figure this. I need it. I like the eclectic as well as the, what was it, collaborative? Is that the other one that I enjoyed? Because I like the idea of being able to take multiple approaches, because not every situation is going to be just like one standard approach. I mean, it can be, but I think if you're able to tailor it to the needs of those families who you're teaching, you're going to be better able to communicate with them and get across to them what is needed, instead of just being like, well, this is this and this is how it is. Like, I think you make it so it's more teachable.
Sorry, I was
Mama, Mama.
yeah.
Mama, Papa. Yeah, okay, let's see. Sorry, my kids decided they needed more supervision than I was giving them. But I guess I just wanted to add something that I guess I didn't really necessarily learn, because I'm still trying to find the balance there. Was just, I mean, it talks a bit about like a code of ethics and lots about how our beliefs can then like help us create our program, like agenda and purposes and things like that. But I was like, just how do you find the balance between like being ethical and standing up for your own beliefs that are not necessarily research based? You know, like, I don't know, I feel like most beliefs you can find research out there to support it if you want to, like, but so how do you find that balance then? Is it just making sure that all of your beliefs you do find research to back up, or should you not even start at the basis of a belief and only go from the research that you have found already? Does anyone have insight there?
I think, like, personally for me, like, I think the more research based you can have, the better, especially if you're like teaching to a very non-religious audience. But I think if you're religious, or if your audience is religious, especially LDS, they kind of have seen, you know, the word of wisdom. There's research behind that. The family proclamation, there's research on why that works as well. So it's kind of like, you can see people who don't follow these, this is how their life is. Like, it's completely like, you can tell the difference it makes. So I think the more, it depends on your audience, I guess, is my takeaway from it. But the more research you can use where you can give them sites to go into, the better. But I think you can also bring in the religious aspect if they have similar beliefs.
My response would be that instead of I don't want to say what I'm trying to say, is we're able to craft the program, and in our case the workshop, and since our audiences are probably going to be predominantly LDS people, but let's pretend they aren't, you know, like, we're the ones crafting the programs. And so instead of finding things to specifically support beliefs, we can just choose to exclude things that don't support, that aren't in line with our beliefs. And I think that's an easier route to take. You know, there might be research out there that says watching pornography together as a couple helps to improve intimacy. You know, there's probably some study out there somewhere that says that. we might read that instead of being like, okay, well, maybe we should present it because it's research. We can just say, okay, well, that's something, we're not going to choose to include that piece of research, but we'll include this piece of research instead, right? And so I think that's probably the course there, is to include things that do support your beliefs and choose to exclude those things that don't.
Yeah.
So Remy is emailing me. She is trying to figure out how to join.
Oh no.
You just click on the link, right?
Yeah. I had mine in my Google Calendar, and so I just clicked on it and it automatically connected.
Yeah. If she's never used Zoom before, then she might have to like download it or get the app.
Yeah, it can be a bit tricky.
She asked on the discussion board, like, are we using Google Hangouts or Zoom, or does that? So it made me think that she'd use Zoom and here. So.
Right.
I think you have to download Zoom at the beginning of the course in order to.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, awesome. Who wants to go next?
Well, I guess there were just some more little like tidbits from different things that I got out of different chapters. In the first lesson, I believe that was like chapter 16 or something. I think it mentions that while audience may prefer the shorter programs, that the longer ones tend to be most successful, with the best results for the participants. And so that made me feel a little bit less uneasy about asking people to come for 2 hours, because that's just a long time to, I mean, I've gone to other people's practicums for different majors and different schools and different things before, and it is a lot of time to devote to that, because I was a student and knew that I would want the support in the future, so I thought pharma or whatever. But yeah, I guess it just helped me realize that what we're doing here is not to make us feel uncomfortable or to make us go way out on a limb and do things that aren't going to be beneficial, that it is actually more helpful for participants, and so therefore we need to be able to put our best foot forward and give the best service that we can, and it's not just about us there. And I don't know that there's anything else that I have necessarily to add that has not already been talked about there. And my computer froze, so I can't even look at the rest of my outline. I just have that one little snippet up. But let me see. Ooh, might have unfrozen.
Hello, welcome. Glad you can make it.
Oh.
I'm so sorry. I misunderstood the time zones.
Oh, darn. That's okay. You still made it. You're here.
What time did you guys start? Like 30 minutes ago?
Yeah, well, we made it a couple minutes. We started like 1:05, so we've been talking for like 20 minutes.
Oh, boo for me.
No, it's totally fine. So what we're doing is we're just each kind of talking about some takeaways that we had from the reading these past couple weeks.
Okay.
Just kind of discussing as we go along, but we're each supposed to kind of take a turn to discuss something that we learned. And so I've done that, and then Chelsea is just at the tail end of her comments right now.
I'm sorry, I missed you.
Okay, I'm trying to figure out what it was that I was asking here. So like in the chapter that we just read, I believe that was 19. I have a hard time keeping track of all the different chapter numbers when they don't go in order, but just this past week's reading assignment, it talks about the different groups of the publics, as far as, I believe that was social marketing, like social media marketing or whatever that was. And so what I just kind of wanted to put it to you, and how when you guys were reading it, what do you think would be the best different groups to focus on for our own projects? Like if we're both doing the workshops, then like what would be the best category or groups of the publics for us to focus on in marketing that?
Good question.
Yeah, no kidding.
So here, I have to find something in the book because I have a specific.
So what are your thoughts on where you're going to do your marketing to begin with? Are you doing through your ward or through your neighborhood?
We were gonna, do through our ward because we were gonna focus more on an LDS audience.
Uh-huh.
But so that's it may be the easy route, but I think it's also not as easy because members have lots going on in their lives too. So.
And I got told by the teacher that, because like our audience, like, or I don't know if you read the email, but she's like, you can do the church, but you might limit people who would be able to come, or have a smaller population that come. But your guys' topic is easy. Like ours is stress, or coping with stress, and she's like, well, your target audience is very confusing. Your audience needs are confusing, but your goals are great. And I'm like so confused on what to do. But so for marketing, as far as marketing for me, where I'm at, I have a family support center in a town that's like 15 minutes away, but they help families who are struggling. They're a respite center as well as a crisis center. So they take in like kids who are just recently removed from families, or kids who, like families who are in crisis. They'll take them for like 3 days. So I was going to make a little, what you call that? My mind just left me.
Are you talking about a flyer, Courtney?
Yes, that's it. A flyer, and put it up there. I've talked to my bishop of the ward, because obviously I'm going to do it in the church, but he actually owns a grocery store. So I'm going to put a flyer up in his grocery store as well.
Well, my ward has a Relief Society Facebook page. Does yours?
Yes.
Mine has a ward page, but not a Relief Society page.
Oh, yeah. We have specific for the Relief Society women.
So there's a sentence in here. So when it's talking about the publics, there's the primary group and the secondary group of publics. And the primary group is your target audience, but the secondary group is broken up into there's like 3 secondary groups. And the first says the first group comprises persons in the near environs of target audience clientele who have an influence on the target audience's opinions. And so I was thinking about that, and I thought, for me and marketing to the ward, that would be the bishop. Like the bishop would be the public's there, and like if I can get his support and have him encourage the ward, then that would be this, like for me, that would be like that version of good publics. And so I did email him, and I don't know, he said, well, first I wanted to make sure we could use the church building. That was okay. And that, there was nothing in the handbook that said we couldn't use the church building for that kind of a purpose or whatever. And so he said it would be fine, but that he wouldn't announce it in Sour meeting, but that we could announce it in Relief Society and Elders Quorum. So I feel like I have him half on board, not like fully on board, which is okay. I can live with half on board. So yeah.
Did he say anything about putting it in the brochure, the weekly bulletin?
I didn't ask. That's a good idea. Just so you guys know, I just got a little notification. I don't know if you guys can see it too, but it says remaining meeting time 9 minutes and 23 seconds, and I upgrade. So we gotta hurry up.
And, so you created a room. So sometimes, like, depending on how you create it, it only allows you 45 minutes. But if you do it a certain way, mine says this meeting no longer has a time limit.
Oh yeah, so it just said we've given you a free gift. You can use
unlimited
time, and so I clicked.
Let's take it.
So usually, if you do if you schedule a meeting, I think it is, or something like that, then you only have 45 minutes. Whereas if you just have like the link, you can go in there and talk however long. I think is how it works. From what my other group told me. So if you don't want a time limit, then you just give the link out and everybody can hop on. But if you schedule the meeting, I think you only have the 45 minutes to use.
Okay, well, thanks for that thought-provoking question, Chelsea. Who wants Courtney? Or, how do you pronounce your name? Rami?
Rami, like Jamie with an R, Rami.
Gotcha, Rami. Okay, awesome.
Yes.
So do you guys want to jump on and share what some of your
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I just wasn't sure if you could hear me because I was like talking and I'm like, I'm not sure if you guys heard what I said. So.
Yeah, I'll pop on. Let me find what I wrote. Since I really don't know what outline. Okay, so I did look at y'all's outline. Mine is very different, and I hope that it's okay.
I'm sure.
Mine was just more like a
The
paragraph.
instructions were so vague. I'm pretty sure as long as it's a page, you're fine.
And I was really concerned because y'all's is more of an outline and mine's like a paragraph. But, and do you want me to just read you what I wrote?
Yeah, just
Sure.
give some of the highlights or your main takeaways.
Okay, yeah, what I wrote was my main takeaways. Like, so for the first chapter regarding the historical and philosophical perspectives, family life education supports families as they acquire new knowledge and skills. Family life education emphasizes healthy family operations with their nuclear family as they prepare a preventative approach to a crisis. And the family life education helps families transform their relationships through education and guidance. Each member decides what subjects are important to them as they progress through the program. Appropriate goals are created, which gives a sense of direction and purpose.
Nice.
All right, so, okay, I'll just keep going. Stop me if you have something to say. And then chapter 2, my thoughts were, that chapter is called Development of Family Life Education Programs. This really hit home for me because ever since my children were young, I have really tried to avoid unnecessary commotion with them. I think of it as preventing a problem. Just one scenario that we have in our family, my kids like having equal portions of snack foods or desserts. As soon as I am unloading the groceries, I set aside the goodies so they can be distributed equally. Another circumstance is the laundry. Each child does their own laundry now, and instantly we've had no more chaos regarding laundry and clothes. I realize these are smaller problems than what a family life educator would normally work with, but I do believe I have the ability to understand the big picture of what a client's needs would be. I have been a single parent now of 4 children for 15 years while raising them. I have endured much. I look forward to giving my knowledge and my education to another family to prevent further distress. I'm busy. Sorry, guys. One of my people is home.
It's okay.
And then, so chapter 19, what I got out of that one is there are 5 areas that need consideration. So I really kind of blended chapter 19 and 16 together because it talks about marketing and reaching out the needs of your audience in both. So I blended those together. The professionalism, there isn't much information within the community regarding family life education and the role that they play to support families. As communication increases, there has been a rise of support through the U.S. Army, the U.S. Marines, and the Early Head Start Agency. There are also encouragement to work with the veterans as a certified life education educator. And so that, working with the veterans, for some reason, that seems very interesting and fascinating to me. Program rigor, which is family life educators stick to firm practices. They execute over design and assess their plans. the program effectiveness really is what you're doing. Is it working? It is important to link the curricula from a vision to a target.
I like
And
that.
I'm sorry?
I just like that line.
Oh, thank you.
From a vision to a target.
So then kind of flipping into chapter 16, the marketing, there is a vast need to promote family life education. The best source of awareness for marketing is word of mouth to promote your work. Consider advertising with organizations. This expands your advertising even further. And then reaching your neediest audience. There is a need is the greatest. Where the need is the greatest for family life education is the best place to reach out for your clients, strengthening families in diverse cultures and neighborhoods. Is what I wrote.
And that last point you made just about marketing, one of the best strategies is through word of mouth.
Mm-hmm.
A specific from that chapter, it talked about how the best time to give out a marketing material or like announce something is when people then have the opportunity to talk about it amongst themselves afterwards. So like it talked about handing out at the end of a junior high basketball game or something like that.
Oh yeah.
And then the parents had an opportunity to talk about it together.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was thinking, how can we apply that to our own workshops? So, what is that? What is a good time frame? Would handing out a little flyer at the end of Relief Society be better than handing it out at the beginning of Relief Society? Or handing it out, before Relief Society starts instead of when they're like, does anybody have announcements? Anyway, so that people have a chance to talk about it before.
I have to agree with you. If I got a flyer at the end of Relief Society, I promise you I'm going to stuff it in my purse and not see it again.
That's fair.
And then when I clean out my purse, I'm like, oh yeah, I should have gone to this. But if I got it at the first of Relief Society and there's a little bit of a time frame, I will look at it. So that's me personally. I don't know what you guys do, but
well, then you got to think like with me, like I'm in primary, so I don't even get Relief Society. So a lot of times, like I don't even know what's going on in Relief Society, so I don't have the opportunity to even talk to them.
Yeah, that's me too, Courtney.
I teach some things.
I find out about Relief Society activities the day after they happened, so yeah, just definitely something to be aware of.
Important top, that didn't make sense. An important point is to make sure that we not only market to the Relief Society Elders Quorum, but that we're bringing announcements into Young Women's and Young Men's and primary and nursery, so that they also have the information and they're not just like cut off from adulthood.
I know my Relief Society, they post a book. I'm sorry, like when you go sign yourself in. Mm-hmm. Do you guys do that too? Each week the little binder comes by and signs you in? Yeah. We could put a flyer in there and then maybe make sure the primary gets it. So Courtney gets a flyer too.
Yay!
But the other thing, like I said earlier about the Relief Society Facebook page, even if y'all don't have a Facebook page for the Relief Society, maybe even in your ward, just make sure that it's posted there. Maybe the husbands will see it and be like, hey, this is a good idea or something,
Yeah, totally. Hey, Courtney, do you want to share your insights? Hopefully we've gone our allotted 20 or 30 minutes, so hopefully we can.
Hopefully you guys can still hear me, right?
Yes.
Right.
My video might be frozen, I apologize. Okay, so like I kind of like just pondered upon the questions a little bit, and that's kind of like how I did some of my outline, was just like responding to questions about what I read and stuff. Like I like that we have the CY Fernet. I don't even know how you say it. CypherNet. Did you guys see that part? It's in the first chapter, but it has a lot of research-based resources that we can use. And the idea of being able to work, like I know, like in our workshop, we're supposed to work with a big old group, but I really like the idea of working with a family one-on-one. And then another question I had is in there, it says that they have groups or resources or programs for teenage parents. And so that piques my interest. I'm like, what kind of programs do they have for teenage parents? Because I don't know how it is in your guys' area, but in my area, there's been a lot of teenagers getting pregnant and not knowing what to do. So that's one thing that like kind of like piqued my interest a little bit. Let's see, what else? So, and then it was like, do you see yourself becoming like a family life educator or certified one? And I mean, I think it'd be interesting, but overall, like, that's not my goal. I'm going to use stuff I've learned definitely because I want to become a BCABA. And the stuff I've learned I can use to help impact the families I'm going to work with. But, okay, so it's a long acronym. I'm sorry. It's a board certified assistant behavioral analyst. There we go. So I basically go into homes and work with kids who have behavioral issues, or let's say they're autistic or have sensory processing disorder, and work one-on-one with the families to help target behaviors that they want changed and help fix them, kind of a situation. And then, so the approach that I mostly liked is I liked the eclectic. And I also like the collaborative. I think it's important, like I said earlier, I think it's important to have the eclectic because not everybody takes things or learn things the same. So if you can be adaptable and multidimensional in your teaching, you'll be able to hit all your audience instead of just some of them. If you take different approaches with it. Let's see what else. We talked about the research and why it needs to be research or scientific based. And then the motivation, like I like the part about where it was like talking about the motivation, and for me, like personally, like I think a lot of motivation comes from inside, but it can be as simple as positive praise or positive feedback. And so doing that during class, that can be a motivator. If they're not feeling, especially like where we're going to be dealing with people who are coping with stress, if they're not feeling very what's the word? Validated or feeling like they're reinforced very much at home, if they come to group and you'll be like, oh, good job, like you did this, that's enough motivation to keep them wanting to come back and not feel like a failure. And I think that's important to keep your audience to want to come back, is making sure you're using what motivates them to help them want to come back so they stay the whole time. What else? I think that's it, because I talked about how I'm going, my connections that I have, and how I'm planning on doing that. So, yeah.
That's great. That was pretty comprehensive, Courtney.
Sorry, what?
I said that's great. That was pretty comprehensive.
I'm like, it's a condensed version, right?
Well, I'm glad that we were all able to be here. Sorry. Remind me how to pronounce your name one more time.
Remy.
Remy.
Like Do,
Remy.
Yeah,
like Jamie, but with an R.
Yeah.
Remy. I'm going to remember it now. Do, Remy. I'm glad you were able to join us. Sorry, it was kind of at the tail end, but you were still here for 20 minutes, so.
Good job.
Yeah, and we meet again in 3 weeks, right?
Oh,
I think so.
Only every 3 weeks?
Yeah, every 3 weeks, I think is what it is.
So I do have a quick question real fast.
Go for it.
So did you guys get a resubmit?
Yeah.
On your first? Okay. I was like, did we?
I think everybody did. I think that's just kind of the process. I think if you get a mastery level on your first try, I don't think that's Sister Openshaw's job. I think her job is to give everyone a resubmit so that everybody is getting feedback and looking at things that they can improve on, and so that they can
Okay.
second time. I think that's kind of the point. So.
Oh,
I was really worried. I was like, crap, did I just like completely bomb this?
No, I think
But then her feedback helped me understand a little bit about what I need to fix. And so we've got really great goals, Raimi, which is good. But we got to work on our audience.
yeah, we'll get there.
we got to break it down some more and like close it down a little bit. But
I think that's
all right.
the whole time. I think we'll get resubmits on just about every assignment. I think that's just how it's supposed to be with this system. So.
I think it pushes you to be better. You know, like you're still putting in good work, but she's making you take the next level.
Right.
So
she's making you challenge yourself, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna stop the recording. Just a second.
Okay.